Breaking Swipe doesn't knock out, and we see the Simul swap Genesect into Rayquaza. The opponent has no Protect Shields to hide behind, and if they're wondering what Techno Blast we're running, my god are they soon about to find out. Genesect farms up, fires off the Techno Blast, and it's going to be Hi Rayquaza, bye Rayquaza. Welcome back to the channel. Recently I did say that I actually love shoutcasters and Master League battles, however I never get submitted some spy, so huge shout out to today's battle submitter, Doc Pep. So I'm going to call Doc for the duration of the video. He is running a very spicy team in the Open Master League. We're going to see a maxed out Galarian Zapdos running counter close combat and Brave Bird. You already know there's going to be some big booms with a double steel backline. I know what you're thinking. The steel type probably is Dialga. We absolutely do not shout that basic bitch tin can on this channel. We're going to have Excadrill and Genesect running Techno Blast Ice. So without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game 1 we lead Zapdos into Palkia, Dragon Breath tearing us apart, but likewise Palkia not the bulkiest, counter chunking, we go straight for the close combat, force ourselves early shield advantage, we see the pivot into Genesect. Palkia can hit us for neutral with the Aqua Tail. The Aqua Tail not particularly good move, however just look at Genesect's lack of bulk, we're already below half health. So we're going to see Doc respect the second Aqua Tail. Genesect farms up, X-Scissor won't be lethal, so we're full sending the Techno Blast. The opponent already down one shield, unwilling to shield Palkia, and they get vanquished back to their Pokeball. Out comes Rhyperior looking for the full Mud Slap farm down, the opponent recognising they'd be unable to farm down before the Techno Blast, opt to catch it on Xerneas, but Xerneas most certainly does not appreciate that damage as they're left down below half health. Genesect still not done, reaches the resisted X-Scissor, and X-Scissor leaves him deep into the red. Switch timer pops up and we see the pivot into Excadrill. The opponent continue to farm up energy, allowing Excadrill to strike first. Drill Run goes unshielded, and that is going to be all she wrote. GG's and thanks for playing. Genesect putting in a whole heap of work in battle number 1. Heading into the next battle, we lead Galarian Zapdos into Giratina. Not a particularly good matchup as our counters are double resisted, but my god does that Brave Bird need to be respected. Giratina will be striking first. The opponent full sends the Shadow Ball. Zapdos withstands the damage. Doc farms up, builds up as much energy as he can and fires off the Brave Bird. Does the opponent respect the damage? Oof, boo Mr. Opponent. In all fairness, Zapdos on this moveset essentially operates like Staraptor. It's just nuke after nuke, so shielding wouldn't be a bad idea. We see the pivot into Genesect. Doc correctly shields up the Shadow Ball, returns fire with the Techno Blast Ice, and finally we get that boom, but no, Giratina survives on 1 HP and a dream. Able to reach one further Shadow Ball, and Genesect left on a sliver of HP. Out comes Dialga. Dialga gets the full Dragon Breath farm down, and this is looking dreadful. Excadrill needs to put in a whole heap of work. The opponent pivot out into Xerneas, and I really am seeing no win con. I think even a catch probably won't save us at this point, but let's see. We fire off the Drill Run. Drill Run goes unshielded. We're able to make Drill Run number 2, which will be forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. Of course, Doc will be shielded in return as close combat would be lethal. We then see the pivot into Zapdos looking to make the catch. We're unsuccessful, but the opponent unwilling to throw allows Zapdos to make the Brave Bird. Brave Bird does secure the knockout. Back out comes Dialga. Dialga does get the full Dragon Breath farm down. The issue here is one Drill Run won't be lethal, and I don't think we're going to survive the Draco. Let's see, can Excadrill survive the Draco from this range? Come on, Mole, please be thick. Unfortunately, not thick enough, and we take a heartbreaking loss. GG's to that opponent. With the recent introduction of Shadow Excadrill, that would have been a matchup we could have won if we had a Shadow, but let's be real, who has 100% or anywhere near Excadrill when the thing absolutely does not spawn? In the next battle, we see Zapdos into the basic bitch tin can. Doc shields up the Iron Head, he looks for the full counter farm down. Do we get it? Yes we do, but holy cow, Zapdos is left low. But we've got back-to-back nukes ready for whatever wants to enter the battlefield. Out comes Giratina, and of course we're going for the neutral Brave Bird as close combat would be double resisted. Brave Bird gets Giratina down below half health, and we see the pivot into Excadrill. Excadrill farms up, throws the Drill Run on the CMP tie. Drill Run forces our shield back. There's really no reason for the opponent to bait, but Doc, unwilling to invest to protect shield, Shadow Ball leaves us on a sliver of HP. Excadrill looks to make one further Drill Run, and Excadrill's bulk just about survives. We reach the next Drill Run, securing the knockout. The opponent's final Pokemon is Mewtwo, and my god Mewtwo, do we have a very pleasant surprise for you in the form of our Genesect. When I first saw this battle submission, I was very surprised we had no Magnet Bomb, as both Xerneas and Zacian are absolutely everywhere in the Master League. However, X-Scissor comes in clutch here, the opponent doesn't shield, and that's going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. With the X-Scissor buff this season, X-Scissor actually is more energy efficient now than Magnet Bomb. However, I just feel Magnet Bomb has more targets. In the next battle, we pick up a great lead. Due to Zapdos' flying sub-type and it's very dominant against Groudon, the opponent stays in, farms up a boatload of energy, and Doc says throw whatever you like. The opponent goes to the Fire Punch, we easily withstand the damage, and we're going to return fire with the close combat. Does the opponent respect our damage? We force the first protection, we look to fire off the back-to-back. However, still Fire Punch won't be lethal, so we see the instant no shield deployed. The opponent's now going to be forced to 2 shield, unless they want to just sack Groudon. Zapdos wins the 1-0 shield. Out comes BDD. Of course, the Pokemon I call Basic Bitch Dialga, but everyone else calls Best Buddy Dialga, and we respond with Excadrill. Doc looks to fire off the Drill Run. Unfortunately, we lose CMP. We've got a 2-to-1 shield advantage. We shield up what I believe to be an Iron Head, I'll be honest. I'm unsure, as I think this is Italian, and I can just about read and write, or speak in English, as you can tell from my commentary. But I've got distracted, so getting back into the commentary, Excadrill fires off the next Drill Run, leaving Dialga on a sliver of HP, and we see their pivot into Yveltal. Excadrill goes straight for the super effective Rock Slide. Rock Slide gets them down below half health. Doc still has 1 Protect Shield, 2 Hive Gone, but it looks like he wants to give Genesect a run out. We allow Excadrill to go down. We send out Genesect. Genesect can knock out with 1 single X-Scissor from this range. We're going to shield up the Central Hurricane or Oblivion Wing. We're now going to overfarm, get towards the back-to-back X-Scissor. 1 X-Scissor will be taking care of Yveltal, and 1 X-Scissor will be massive overkill on the 1 HP Dialga. And that's going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. We see yet another Dialga. Surprise, surprise. We saw last time Doc shielded once farmed all the way down. This opponent didn't like that matchup, so they pivot into Xerneas, and we respond with Excadrill. Geomancy Xerneas now one of the top threats in the Master League. It's so spammy and got great coverage. The opponent masturbates with the Moonblast, not wanting to lower their own defense. However, Doc, undeterred, reaches 1 Drill Run, and the second Drill Run will be forcing a Protect Shield back. Despite us being a Steel type and the opponent being a Fairy, Excadrill's kind of forced to shield everything. Doc invests his final Protect Shield this time. The opponent full sends the close combat. It looks like they're at the back-to-back, so Doc fires off the Drill Run on the CMP tie. The opponent is going to win the 2 shields, and that is brutal. A Fairy beating a Steel type, you hate to see it, but back out comes Zapdos. Zapdos gets a very nice full counter farm down. The opponent sends out Kyogre, and Doc's already at the back-to-back close combats. Kyogre might be thick, but you, sir, evidently are not thick enough. We see Doc very nicely overfarm before firing off the next close combat, and Kyogre gets vanquished. Back to their Pokeball. Can Zapdos reach the next close combat? We cannot, as Dragon Breath just far too oppressive. Out comes Genesect. Can our squishy bug survive the Draco? Holy, just about, we're deep in the red. Doc farms up, throws the Techno Blast Ice, which will hit for neutral and should hopefully knock out game. Hello? No, we get the no bubble. However, it looks like the reason for all that lag was the opponent's been a big baby, not wanting to lose to some spice, force closed the app, but either way, Doc is going to take the dub here, and you can see the end of this battle is just full of lag, so I've just cropped it, but we're going to move swiftly on, with Doc saying Spice 1, Basic Bitch Meta nil. In the next battle, we see Zapdos into Rayquaza, a Pokemon that I believe is about to become a myth. And while we're on that subject, let's talk about the Break and Swipe nerf. I was 100% behind nerfing Steelix, however nerfing Break and Swipe isn't really the solution, as Steelix will go from busted to pretty OP, whereas Pokemon like Rayquaza, Haxorus and Heliolisk really relied upon that debuff, as they're so glassy and at best they are probably like fringe meta, and they're now going to be kind of unplayable. Whereas on the flip side, Steelix was already a pretty busted mon. If you've been a player who's played the game for a long time, like myself, way back in Season 1, long before XLs were a thing, I had a shiny, lucky Steelix. I think it was something like a 92 IV. It maxed out at like 2311, and it was still ridiculously good way back then in the Ultra League, because it already pissed all over Giratina and Cresselia. Niantic, I think you just need to be far more careful which Pokemon you give which moves. That's my rant over for the day, so getting back into the commentary, we see Excadrill shield up the close combat, return fire with the Drill Run. The opponent gonna shield in return. We then see the pivot into Zapdos. The opponent sends back out Rayquaza. we actually are able to withstand the Dragon Tails, make the close combat, and close combat will be securing the knockout. Xerneas will be returning and getting yet more energy together, and this is a tough spot for Doc to be in. Genesect doesn't really want to tank a close combat, so I like this play of sending out Excadrill, sacrificing it to the Poke Gods, and they're going to hope we can get the resisted Fury Cutter farm down before the next close combat, but no. On 1 HP and a Dream, Xerneas makes the close combat, getting us down below half health. What can we beat in the back? Holy crap, ask, and you shall receive. The answer is Shadow Metagross, as we're going to be able to outpace the back-to-back X-Scissors, which hit for neutral. The first one gets them down below half health, and you know the drill. The second one is going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we're going to lead our Galarian Zapdos into another Rayquaza. This time I'll try not to get distracted and actually look to do some commentary, which is probably what you're here for, or perhaps you're just bored of seeing everyone rant about the move update. We tank the Breaking Swipe, Zapdos then returns fire with the Brave Bird, and of course this is going to force a Protect Shield, as Rayquazas love to shield everything. We then see the pivot into Excadrill are answered with a Mud Slap Rhyperior, another Pokemon that is getting a buff next season. Despite Excadrill being made of paper and taking huge damage from the Mud Slaps, Excadrill is able to make back-to-back drill runs. The first one force the opponent's final protection, the second one lands for huge damage. Rhyperior gets a huge Mud Slap farm down and leaves absolutely loaded. However, we've now got a 2-0 shield advantage. We send back out Zapdos. I don't think that's one counter range. We shield up the inevitable Breaking Swipe. With the debuff, the opponent easily survives the counter. However, can Zapdos survive a Breaking Swipe? Yes, we can. We then see the simul swap of Genesect into an unshielded Rayquaza, and if the opponent wonders what Techno Blast we're running, my god, are they soon about to find out. Rayquaza gives us the debuff treatment, but undeterred, Genesect farms up, fires off the Techno Blast, and no debuff will be saving Rayquaza. Techno Blast Ice secures the big boom knockout. Once again, all our hopes and dreams are on the back of a half-health Genesect, and again we see Metagross in the back. This is very playable, however I think we need to look to reset our debuff. We're going to shield up the resisted Meteor Mash, so we're running out of HP. You can see Doc spamming the switch timer pops up, the opponent also switches out looking to catch, they don't make the catch, we reset our debuff, we're now at the back-to-back X's, our 2X is enough to knock out the non-shadow variant. Holy, it's going to be close, we fire off one further Fury Cutter, is this X-Scissor going to be lethal? No, it's not, but we get the Fury Cutter farm down and take an incredibly close game. GG's to both trainers. In the next battle, we see Zapdos into Groudon. We've seen this one play out before, a very dominant lead. The opponent switch out into Dialga. The opponent in absolute shambles, core broken by Galarian Zapdos. We fire off the close combat, forcing a protection, and we see their pivot into Excadrill. I anticipate the no shield, as Draco won't knock out. And to be honest, do we need switch? Not really, as we've got that Techno Blast Ice. We do survive the Draco. Return fire with the drill run. The opponent lose switch and the downer shield, back out comes Groudon, and we still have the perfect alignment, as of course Zapdos is going to be a lot better into Groudon, as I don't really think them double super effective fire punches are what we're looking to tank on our squishy bug fire type. However, on the flip side, you can see a non-stab fire punch, even from a big meta monster with a huge stat prod like Groudon, don't do much to Zapdos. We tank the first, shield the second, Doc then farms up towards the back-to-back close combats. Is the opponent willing to invest their final protection? No, they're not. Close combat doesn't knock out. We get the counter farm down. The opponent's final Pokemon is a smackdown Shadow Tyranitar. You love to see it. But what Tyranitar doesn't love to see is Genesect, as X-Scissor near one-shots and the opponent's going to gracefully concede the match. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see Galarian Zapdos into Metagross. A pretty neutral matchup. However, the opponent evidently doesn't agree, as they pivot into Mewtwo and we answer with Genesect. Doc allows the opponent to strike first. They've got enough energy for a potential Shadow Ball, and Doc correctly shields up. At this stage now, switch is most certainly ours. We farm up to the back-to-back. The opponent likely let it go, which they do. And if they return with Metagross, Genesect's still going to put in a whole heap of work. The X-Scissor update was one of my favourite move updates from Season 16. It went from 35 energy to 40 energy, but the big improvement was that 45 damage going to a whopping 60, making it a Surf clone. And with Genesect using Fury Cutter, these X-Scissors still come thick and fast due to its great 4 EPT. The opponent gets greedy, fire off the Meteor Mash, that doesn't get the job done. Genesect withstands the bullet punches, reaches one further X-Scissor and Genesect, absolutely popping off. The opponent's final Pokemon is Rayquaza. We see the instant pivot into Excadrill, and the opponent is going to start spamming out debuff after debuff. Rayquaza has 2 Protect Shields, 2 high behind, and they double resist our Mud Shots. We fire off a Rock Slide, forcing the Protect Shield. We then fire off yet another Rock Slide, not at the best timing, but it looks like Doc just wants to get off these Rock Slides before the opponent debuffs us once again. It looks like the opponent's looking for the full Dragon Tail farm down. They recognise Excadrill is going to make another charge move, so they're forced to dump one further Breaking Swap. We've now got Rayquaza deep into the yellow. We now send out Zapdos. We just need to try and correctly shield up the Dragon Ascent. We look to make the catch, we're unsuccessful. And now it's the guessing game. Do they Breaking Swap? Do they Dragon Ascent? We commit a Protect Shield. The opponent full send. We shield it up. And that's going to be all she wrote. GG's and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see Doc doing some gatekeeping, saying if you want to reach Legend, you need to cross through this spice first. We lead Zapdos into Landorus. A pretty neutral matchup, as we do resist the Mud Shots. The Stone Edge will hit for neutral. However, the opponent does resist our counters. The opponent fire off the neutral Stone Edge, and ouch, that hurt. However, you know what else is going to hurt? This Brave Bird, of course, forces a Protect Shield. Now we've double debuffed our own defense. The opponent can just start throwing superpowers. We shield up the superpower. The opponent then look to snipe with Dialga, but Zapdos says, not today, trainer. We fire off the close combat, forcing the final protection. We see their pivot into Excadrill. No messing around. Doc goes straight for the drill run onto the unshielded Tin Can, and it rocks him deep into the red. The opponent only reaches the Iron Head, and we see the instant no shield deployed. We get some weird frame drops in the recording. You can see the Mud Shot did take him out, and we're left around half health after tanking the Iron Head. Back out comes Landorus. We fire off the neutral Rock Slide, getting him deep into the red. And it looks like Doc, once again, is putting all his hopes and dreams on the back of Genesect. Superpower does secure the knockout. Does the opponent have something that beats Genesect up a Protect Shield? The answer is most certainly they do not. They've got Zekrom, and the opponent is going to concede the match. GG's and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see Rocky Red. Rocky Red, are you about to take some rocky punches from our Zapdos? And the answer is yes, sir, as Dialga most certainly doesn't want to get punched in the face by our flying pest of a bird Zapdos. We see the retreat into Landorus, and Landorus is somewhat of an issue for our backline. So it looks like Doc, happy to stay in, tank the Stone Edge like an absolute boss, and return fire with the Brave Bird, force a Protect Shield. Then we look to make a catch of the Stone Edge number 2 onto Genesect, and Genesect does not tank that particularly well. This is also not the best matchup for Genesect, as due to Landorus' ground flying type, and they do resist all of our bug type damage. So even with a debuff, I don't think X-Scissor will be lethal, although it will be pretty close as they're incredibly glassy. We farm up, fire off the X-Scissor, forcing the final protection. We look to fire off X-Scissor number 2, but the opponent makes a very nice catch back onto Dialga. We're still switch locked, so I don't think we're going to be able to bank this energy. Genesect running out of HP, so we just set off one further X-Scissor, which gets Dialga down below half health. Switch timer finally pops up. We send out Zapdos, go straight for the close combat, nuking this Tin Can into oblivion. The opponent has 0 Protect Shields, 2 high beyond. Let's see if they show us our third or send back out Landorus. They send back out Landorus, and I imagine they're going to go for the cheaper superpower, which they do. Resisted superpower does secure the knockout. And unlike previous battles, we've now got a one-shield Excadrill versus the world. We send in the Mole. The opponent attempt to make a Rock Slide catch onto Mewtwo. We show great discipline, hold our energy, and go for the correct move of the stab drill run. 2 drill runs will be lethal. We attempt to make the catch onto Genesect. The catch is unsuccessful. We can't shield this. A superpower would be the move to shield. Holy crap, we're running out of HP. Shadow Ball rocks us deep into the red. I believe we're one Mud Shot off the back-to-back drill run. Secures the knockout. Back out comes Landorus. If we're on more than 1 HP, we're going to win. Superpower doesn't KO through the shield, and Excadrill, quite literally on 1 HP and a dream, takes that game. GG's and thanks for playing. For all the times I've said Excadrill is super squishy, in that battle Excadrill was like, hold my beer, I've got this. Moving on to the next battle. We see Zapdos into the Kentucky Fried Chicken, Bird of Death. Something that is a huge problem for the entirety of our team. We farm up, go straight for the Brave Bird, force the Protect Shield. Oh gosh, how are we going to take care of this bird? We see Doc's Shield in return. The opponent throws the Sacred Fire and then pivot out into Zekrom, and we answer with Genesect. Of course, we're certainly not going to shield this. The opponent throws the Fusion Bolt, which leaves us on a sliver of HP. Doc over farms just before we get taken out and returns fire with the Techno Blast Ice. Okay, we've now forced the final Protect Shield. This is looking a lot better of a situation. We now send out Excadrill. We see the instant no shield deployed. The opponent again throw the Fusion Bolt, so they must have Outrage as a second move. Doc farms up one before the back-to-back, throws the Drill Run, which will be securing the knockout. If Ho-Oh does return, we're very close to the rock side. The opponent gives us the show and go. A very nice play. The opponent sends out Ho-Oh, pause a turn, then catch the rock side onto Dialga like a savage. We, though, undeterred, send out Zapdos. Close combat vanquishes the opponent back to their Pokeball. Ho-Oh does get the Incinerate farm down. Can Excadrill survive the Incinerates and reach the rock side again? Who was worried? Excadrill says, I'm far too bulky. Reach the rock side, and we take another very well played game. What a way to clutch up a perfect 5-0 set. I believe we've got one final battle of the video. So heading into the final battle, we've got Zapdos into Xerneas. A big yikes moment if I ever did see one. Doc is staying in, so I smell a Moonblast catch. We go for it, and we make the catch onto Excadrill. What a savage. You know the opponent's got to be somewhat salty after that catch. The opponent stays in. Excadrill goes straight for the Drill Run. Drill Run goes unshielded. It looks like Xerneas looking for redemption. Looking to return Excadrill to its Pokeball with a close combat, but Doc says Excadrill isn't done yet. The opponent actually chooses to give up switch, sending out Dialga. Are you serious? The first Drill Run goes unshielded. Excadrill able to make Drill Run number 2, and it looks like Dialga is being sacrificed to the Pokegods. Excadrill is low, but we're not in Geomancy farm down range. I think the opponent's going to be forced to show their third, which they do, and it turns out to be Dragonite. The switch time is heavily misaligned, so we pivot out into Genesect, and we're going to start playing the bait game. The opponent goes straight for the superpower. Doc looking to return the favour, throwing the Techno Blast Ice, trying to nuke Dragonite through 2 shields. Of course, the opponent shields. Switch timer pops up for the opponent back out. Comes Xerneas. We reach the X-Scissor. X-Scissor goes unshielded. It isn't lethal. However, the opponent actually chooses to dump energy. Close combat takes us out. Doc waiting out his timer, giving him the chance to make a catch. However, I don't think any catch will be needed as Zapdos has so much energy. Back out comes Dragonite. We farm up, throw the Brave Bird. The opponent only has one Protect Shield, opt to tank it like a boss. They get vanquished back to their Pokeball, and we're going to take that game. Huge shout out to Doc for a very fun, very spicy battle submission in the Open Master League. Master League is without a doubt the league I shoutcast the least, so I'm always super hyped when I get these spicy battle submissions. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing if you like your battles featured on my channel. A link to a battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.